nervous because I'm here now.
Hey guys, welcome into another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin, and today we're going to talk about the recent extension of Money Man himself, Nick Boyle, who second year in a row he's got an extension. He seems to find a way to stay in that front office's the front of their minds when it comes to money, and I'm sure he's not upset about it. You got some details on the contract, Glenn. I'm going to let you dish those out, but before Glenn does, make sure you guys take a second, subscribe. It's the off season, all things hypotheticals, storylines, rumors, updates, free agency, draft, all of it. We got you covered. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, give us a like, join your notifications, comment with us in the comment section. We'll be sure to comment back. But Glenn, break down this contract.
Sure. Yeah, it's a 2-year deal, 2-year extension. It's worth $13 million with 10.5 of it fully guaranteed. And right now, I think with the motivation on the Ravens part was it looked like he was going into next season and going to carry a cap hit of $7.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, the projections, according to Jeff Zrebiec of The Athletic, are that number will be reduced by about $2 million. So get it down to about 5.8 from 7.8. So, and this year with the unknown cap circumstance, I mean, every little bit helps. I mean, that $2 million can be used throughout the season in case of injuries to sign, veterans to replace. So any bit helps. I mean, it's not a ton, just $2 million, but it's not bad. And here's what it guarantees: that we have, in my opinion, the best blocking tight end in the league for another 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And also it shows a lot of confidence in him getting back from this injury.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing, if I'm not mistaken, it's a 2-year extension on top of this coming year, right? So in total, it'll be 3 years.
Right. Yeah. He's signed now through 2023.
And so it's a win-win. Just like you said, he's going to get more guaranteed money, but it's a lower cap hit for us that seems to be more manageable. I'm going to say, I think that I might burst a lot of people's bubbles here, but this is not an opportunity. This is not the first domino to fall for us to magically create space to go out and pay Chris Godwin $20 million a year.
Right.
Or, some of these other big name, sexy type wide receivers. I just don't think that the reason for this. I'm going to give you a much lower key name. Chris Board.
One of our own. Okay.
That's right. Chris Board is a guy that we have exclusive rights to.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously we will have to compensate him next year and put a tender on him. I think that, I don't know what the exact equations are for value for a tender, in each, according to the rounds, but he's definitely a guy that we want. And so we're going to have to dedicate a tender to him. And I think that this will be around what he's projected to get paid. A guy like that, once again, I don't know the numbers, but hypothetically speaking, it to me, it does something like that, keeps a guy like Chris Board here, or does another thing where, it's a salary for a high round rookie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this does do a lot of things while it's not like shock-wavingly different and change the whole landscape of the Ravens offseason. I think these things are underappreciated and undervalued moves to raise the floor of our competitiveness throughout season over season over season.
And also what it tells me is that Greg Roman, to me, just felt a little safer in his job, in my opinion, because what offense does Nick Boyle have the most value in the league? And it's Greg Roman. So and I'm sure there's a lot of fans that aren't thrilled to hear that. But to me, he holds his most value in this offense. And if you were to change the offense, his value would certainly drop. So, but you also mentioned before the show that $2 million could be used towards the, bringing back old Gus, the bus back.
Yep.
Every little bit's going to help. And we don't know, what someone's going to offer Gus Edwards, but that $2 million could be going towards bringing him back and having him and JK in the backfield next season, which I think we're all kind of hopeful that'll happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's so Chris Board and Gus are our 2 guys that we have exclusive rights to. And while it's really hard to tell if they take a risk with Gus and give him a lower end, tender, and then they see if another team bites, or if they just say, you know what, we're going to put it up a little higher and just seal the deal and be done with it. Right. So we don't have to worry about other people. So it is interesting to see, but you're absolutely right. Depending on what the tender is, he's another guy just like Board that is much more well-known. And I would consider him a more integral part of our team. Not that Chris Board isn't, but I think that Gus is more important to our team than Chris, based on the depth at middle linebacker in comparison to where Gus is really the 1A.
Gus and JK.
Right, exactly. So I wouldn't even consider him a 2-back. I think he's a 1A.
I mean, unless you want to throw Justice Hill in there, but to me, he's just a guy.
Right. No, absolutely. But yeah, so I think it's an exciting day for Nick Boyle and the Boyle household because they just secured the bag.
Yeah, and also for Ravens fan, I mean, look, I know that modern medicine's gotten pretty good, so we can count
Mm-hmm.
on most of these guys coming back. But the fact that they're willing to get this extension done with a guy who's still rehabbing a major injury shows that the confidence in that he will be back to the same old Nick Boyle that we're used to.
Now, the one thing we cannot have, and he knows this, I think if I'm not mistaken, he's got 2 strikes for PEDs, right?
Yeah, but they were long in his past. I mean,
I
it's
just
been
get
a few
concerned when
years.
you're coming back from an injury. Like, remember when Edelman
I
got
see.
popped coming back from an injury? A couple other guys that got
It's
popped coming
certainly
back from an
used
injury.
to recover quick. I mean, that's what the main reason people use those for is to recover. So yeah, but I'm hopeful that he learned his lesson.
Right.
I mean, the fact that he was able, the fact that the Ravens showed confidence enough in him after those two. I mean, I know a lot of people were saying, let's get rid of this guy. I mean, this guy's
Right.
making bonehead decisions. But the fact that they stuck with him and it's really paid off for both parties. Yeah, I would be shocked. I mean, look, people have done some dumb things, but that would shock me.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's definitely something to consider. I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere, a clause, somewhere in that contract. But
Oh,
absolutely,
I'm
either way,
sure. I'm
yeah,
sure.
either
Yeah.
way, it's a win-win. I think it's certainly a win-win because, like you said, his value is highest in our offense, and we need him the most in an offense like ours. I think you talked about Greg Roman's job security. The other thing I'll say is that I think this also shows us that Greg is telling the Ravens that I need depth at the tight end position. Like I need it, not just depth, but quality blockers, obviously like Nick is, but serious depth. We can't rely on Ricard and Andrews and a bunch of undrafted guys. Like,
Yeah, and while you said that this doesn't mean we're going to go after number one, I think what it could mean. I mean, I don't want to jump to conclusions here, but it shows that they're really wanting to build depth at that tight end position. I've heard a lot about Zach Ertz. I've heard a lot about how he's disgruntled in Philadelphia. We know the relationship between the Eagles and the Ravens, and they've done plenty of trades in the past. So I would not be surprised at all to see them add depth even beyond just Nick Boyle and Mark Andrews. And that doesn't mean that, Breland and Eli Wolf, these young guys don't have a shot. It's just, you can't count on either one of those guys. But if you get a Zach Ertz, wow. I mean, that's a pass catching, do it all, number one receiver from the tight end position type guy.
Yeah, forget about I'm just envisioning. Forget about bringing in a number one receiver, this big body possession guy. Imagine trotting out on the field with Zach Ertz, Mark Andrews, Patrick Ricard, and Nick Boyle all on the field at the same time, or even just 3 of them: Zach Ertz, Mark Andrews, and Boyle.
Yeah, yeah, some horses.
Yeah, and with the way that Lamar can take advantage of the middle of the field, that would just be.
And Zach Ertz is a phenomenal pass catcher. I mean,
he's pretty much a number one wide receiver. I mean,
exactly as good as Mark Andrews is. He's never reached the heights statistically, and probably never will that Zach Ertz. Now, he had a very friendly offense to him, and he was the number one target. But still, nonetheless, I mean, the guy is a phenomenal pass catcher.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Ravens fans, let us know what you think. What does this extension mean? Is it just simply to clear some space to get the rookie guys coming in under contract to sign some of these guys we have exclusive rights with? Or is it a grand plan to go out there and spend some more money, go shopping, and get a guy like maybe not a number one wide receiver, but we know a guy like Ertz is a number one wide receiver for all intents and purposes. So let us know what you think. Leave your comments below, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
See ya.